Moving us right into Just a Man. Seeing this, the sacking of Troy still happening. Nice.
I look into your eyes and I think back to the sun.
Ridiculously cute.
Of mine. You're as old
He looks
as
too young.
was.
He looks like he's 20 years old or something. My dude. I guess he's just older.
Will these actions haunt my days? Every man I've slain is the price I pay. Endless pain.
Nah.
Close your eyes and spare yourself the view. How could I hurt?
Oh, I would have loved to have seen like the clattering of the knife to the ground, but
I'm just a
this must be a window or a mirror. Regardless. The olive bed. I see you, Gigi.
Away from what I've known. I'm just a man who's fighting for his life. Deep down I would trade the world to see my son and wife. I'm just a
I like that there's Telemachus older, but like we don't really have his face because he can only imagine.
But when does a comet become a meteor? When does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster?
Oh, very nice.
When
Get more of that chromatic aberration. The glitching.
When does the reason become the
Oh, it almost looks like a skull.
When does
It's
a
cool
man
imagery.
become a monster? When does a comet become a meteor? When does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster?
Oh wow, having everyone stop. Okay, so the sacking of Troy would have taken a lot longer than this. Again, it was an extremely violent moment in the history of myth. Absolute brutality at its most brutal. They would still be fighting and killing by this point. There would still be so much commotion going on. Now I understand, again, that makes an animator's job a lot harder. It is wild to have everybody witnessing him do this. It's also important to know, again, that the sacking of Troy would still be going on here, and the death of Astyanax is usually portrayed as not happening during the sacking proper. It's happening like the next day, because obviously they have captured everyone. They're, you know, kind of divvying out war prizes, aka people. The what to do with Astyanax was a big question in that what you do with it, with him. And so it didn't happen usually on the actual night. It's usually, I believe, supposed to be sort of like the next day, you know, after they've laid waste essentially to the city. Oh, don't show me his face. He's so cute. Just dangling him like that? That's... Oh god. Just drop him. Interesting, only having the one hand just open. Wait a minute, I think I heard about this, that initially did Gigi not have that and people didn't know if he'd actually dropped the infant, so then Gigi had to go back and animate the hand to be like, he dropped the infant, guys. Hello? I think I remember hearing something about that. Very interesting. Incredible, you know, 6-something minutes of animation. Again, my hand is like cramping and sore just watching this. Very interesting stuff. I loved the imagery of the tree that's sprouting out of baby Astyanax, forming almost like a skull. Neat stuff. Oh, really neat stuff. Like my only thing, I mean, obviously, yeah, a million broom helmets. I'm getting over the broom helmets. No, I'm not. I'm forever gonna pick on the broom helmets because I can, and it's lighthearted. Like, don't take it too seriously, guys. But broom helmets, and Odysseus is a little young looking, especially in those flashbacks where it looked like it was him leaving for war. Like, it's a little young looking, but okay, sure. The next Just a Man is Murchie, because I was almost gonna say Merksy, but then I remember hearing it's pronounced Murchie, I believe. Another name I have heard a lot. This ought to be interesting. I have heard some things about Murchie and their choices in some of the songs that they've chosen to animate, so I'm super curious. Oh wow, no background. Oh my god, look at that baby.
And
laurel leaves in the
You're
hair?
as old as he
What's that on Penelope's face?
when I left.
Oh wow, so already some interesting choices. One, the laurel crown in the hair. Most of the thing with the laurels, not really signifying kingship. There's a lot more use of that later in the Roman period. Are those supposed to be glasses on Penelope's face? That's very distracting to me, I'm sorry. And also in terms of the finding out he had to go to war, it is known that it is emissaries, like people who get sent by Agamemnon to summon Odysseus, you know, calling in essentially the oath that he had made, and that is how he gets called into war. And some brutal shit happens to the guy who calls his bluff when he tries to pretend he's crazy, depending on what source you read. The work that's done on the talons, the foot, if you will, of that messenger bird is bonkers. There is some like crazy amounts of detail going on here. Okay, hands. I see you. Every artist is crying in hands. Maybe it's just me.
Here's the price I pay.
Oh wow, that's an image.
Close your eyes and spare yourself the view. How could I hurt you?
Probably because they're mostly still images that you can have that much detail. That's incredible. Oh, doing a 360 while pushing in. Great use of camera. I just also want to say it looks like the design for Odysseus here, there's some resemblance, I think, to Jorge. It's the first time I'm actually really noticing, it seems like. But also, again, there's a lot of detail going on in the clothing, in the folds. Like, this is wild. The anatomy also is insane. Now I've got a shining ring of light, and I am curious. I do like that we essentially have no background on Odysseus. We have black. It's a void. This is all in his head. That's really great use of the animation to show that, like, this is all kind of happening in a moment in his head.
A man who's fighting for his life. Deep down I would trade the world to see.
Oh, those are glasses. I'm gonna find that really distracting. I'm sorry. Glasses on characters when they wouldn't have glasses kind of drives me nuts. It's one of those weird... Ooh, gold? Oh, that gold looks great. Oh, great imagery, like a ripple effect. Oh, and his eyes? Is he barefoot? Rock on. Sandals are barefoot. Yeah, incredible anatomical art. Oh, what a transition. While they're burning. Yet another character with glasses. I saw you. Yo! This is like the darkest version of Simba on Pride Rock ever. Yo, Murchie, you went there. And not showing us Astyanax' face by the end. It's almost like he has to dehumanize him. That's insane. The level of detail on each individual in that is insane. I can't imagine how long that took to draw. And because it's an animatic, there's less of a kind of fluidity to some of the things, like the drop coming down being the ripple effect. Like, I can imagine there were probably really cool transitions and stuff like that in there. And it's just like, that's a bitch to animate. It takes so much time focusing on the detail of all these characters. I will say the anachronistic glasses on characters does kind of drive me a little nuts. That's just a weird pet peeve of mine. So that's not a knock on Murchie for their choices. It's just an odd little pet peeve of mine. So don't take that all that seriously. But damn, Murchie, that ending is insane. Like, honestly, from the moment there was the bit of gold coming in and doing the drop, like that bit through the end, that's bonkers. Insane. I would love to see that, like, fully animated, like with all of the frames in there, though I can imagine, oh my god, Murchie, your poor hand. Your poor hand. That's insane. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Also, holy shit, 2 years ago? Murchie, this animation is 2 years old? You deserve more views for how good that is for 2 years. Holy crap. Oh my god. So who I have after Murchie is Wolfie the Witch. Yet another name I have heard brought up a lot when it comes to the animatics. This is my last of the Just a Mans. I don't know. Oh, hi, Sandals. Oh, And are those leg greaves? Nice touch. Even if you gave him a broom helmet.
And I think back to the sun of my
Interesting.
You're as old as
little black-haired Astinax.
When I left for war.
Oh.
Will these actions
having him already at the walls, looking out.
Every man
oh, look at that.
Is the prize.
Yo, did you see that action where he went and then cut that guy's? That's incredible. I like him looking down and seeing the violence. Oh, I like that a lot. Oh, that's such good shit.
I pay endless pain. Close your eyes and spare yourself the view. How could I hurt you?
Oh, he's gonna take the helmet off.
I'm just a man who's trying to go home. Even after all the years away from what I've known, I'm just a man who's fighting for his life. Deep down I would trade the world to see my son and
gorgeous
wife.
Penelope.
I'm just a man.
Seeing the wall again. Nice reminder.
But when does a comet become a meteor? When does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster? When does a ripple become
nice
a
use of just
tidal
blocking him
wave?
out, all
When
shadow.
does the reason become the blame?
Put the helmet
When
on.
does a man become
Oh, that's brutal. Don't show me his face.
When does a comet become a meteor? When does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster?
Wow. Okay, whoa now. I just paused on the wrong spot. But again, everybody's kind of stopped in this moment to watch what he's doing. The timeline's slightly off. Whatever. Oh god, is this Andromache? Wolfie, are you gonna go there and show me Andromache? Because that is always the question, where is Andromache in this moment? Because Andromache would have absolutely been there with her son. She was. He had to be ripped from her, and she screamed and sobbed the whole way. In fact, there's actually some really interesting stuff in a book that I've been reading recently. I'm going to be super nerdy here. So this is The Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours by Gregory Nagy. I've definitely quoted him or referenced him, I think, in one or probably more descriptions that I've done. So Gregory Nagy, for those who don't know, is the Francis Jones Professor of Classical Greek Literature and Professor of Comparative Literature at Harvard University. He's also the director of their Center for Hellenic Studies, and I recognized his name because he got quoted in my grandfather's book, and so I had referenced him in a paper that I'd written back in uni. And so I believe this is compiled based around a class that he teaches called The Ancient Greek Hero, and he's got some really, as you can see, I've been reading it, post-it flabbing it, has some really fascinating stuff talking obviously about the Homeric epics, in particular Iliad and Odyssey. And what's really interesting is he goes in some of his parts in where he's talking about the Odyssey, he talks about the part of the Kleos and the Nostos, and that these Kleos, which is both glory and fame, but can sometimes also mean these songs about glory and fame, are also songs about like unfathomable grief, especially for those who have intimate ties to the story in question. So like when Penelope is hearing that singer in the beginning of the Odyssey, she weeps. When Telemachus, after he's begun the search for his father and finding out about his father's Nostos in book 4 of the Odyssey, he weeps hearing a story of Troy. And what's interesting is talking in here, there's a moment when Odysseus is on this Isle of the Phaeacians, his kind of pit stop in between Calypso's island and Ithaca, and they start singing the story of Troy. And what they're singing about is obviously the Trojan horse, and they're eventually getting to the part where Odysseus chucks Astyanax off a wall. Now, before anybody asks, Mad, you were super confused about Odysseus being the one to chuck Astyanax off a wall. Aha. Now, I had said that I was more familiar with the idea that Neoptolemus is the one who does it. It makes sense, that's Achilles' son. Of course, he's the one who kills the son of the man who killed his own father, right? I had also then noted that there is at least one other version I was familiar with where Odysseus is involved in the killing of Astyanax, though I don't think he actually kills him himself. Maybe he does. But what I found out from reading this book, of course, is that one of the major accounts, if you will, of where it is Odysseus who kills Astyanax and he throws him off the walls of Troy actually comes from a lost epic. So the interesting thing about the Iliad and the Odyssey, we talk about them as the two great Greek epics, and part of that is also they're the only ones we have left that are complete. Now, there's what is known as kind of essentially like the Troy saga, if you will, the Troy epics. There's an entire series of epics that were created that tell the whole story of the Trojan War from the beginning with, you know, the marriage of Peleus and Thetis, where Eris shows up and throws the golden apple, causing all those problems, going all the way through to the final one that is known as the Telegony or the Telegony, and which most of us would probably wish we didn't know about, which I have seen referenced and I've been asked about because obviously the Telegony being a lost epic, we have maybe scattered lines from it, like very few. Literally, I think less than 10 lines survive from that massive epic. And what we have of these lost epics are, again, maybe a couple scattered lines here or there, and summaries. And these summaries, mind you, are summaries, but they're also kind of summaries of summaries of summaries. So I look at the lost epics a little cockeyed, and this is very just personally me, because I would rather have the text, at least in translation, to be able to look at. But that is part of where that story of Odysseus chucking Astyanax off the wall seems to come from, is one of these lost epics. And what happens in the Odyssey is they start telling a story, but before they can get to the part where Odysseus would be chucking Astyanax off the wall, he starts weeping. And it said he would remind them of like a woman who has lost her husband or lost her child, and they are referencing Andromache. So I love that. I think I noted it must have been the one right before this, it was in The Horse and the Infant, that somebody looked like they had a woman being taken away, and I was like, oh, is that Andromache? That might make sense. This looks like it's the first one that's giving me Andromache. Oh, that's just Wolfie, you went there. You went there, didn't you? Oh, that's awful. He hasn't dropped him yet, which is kind of odd.
I'm just
That's where I would have had the dropping. Oh, we're cutting it there. Oh, interesting. That's really vague. Oh, I think I'd heard of this too, that, you know, they I guess a couple of them had sort of vague endings. Like Murchie, who's just like, nope, I'm gonna drop that baby off a wall and you're gonna see it. I'm kind of surprised because it's the forgive me. Like, I always figured that's sort of the moment you drop, and I almost kind of wish we got more of Andromache there. It makes me think of how, I'm going to give every millennial trauma, The Lion King, the death of Mufasa is an absolutely traumatizing, dramatic, powerful scene. And it's not just because Mufasa dies, but it's that moment where Simba's the one who's watching it. You know, Simba afterwards is having the reaction to the death of his father. That's what really brings in, for me, the emotion and the waterworks, and that's kind of what I would have wanted there, like me personally, but I can also understand it's like Wolfie was just like, nope, I gotta protect my sanity, no thanks. But wow. Wolfie and Murchie, like, y'all fucking cooked with these Just a Mans. That's fucking insane. Oh my god. Bonus animatic. So this is the Just a Man by Neil Illustrator, and I have heard a lot about Neil Illustrator. So I figured I was going to be sneaky, sorry to the people who made my Animatics playlist, and sneak this one in there. Also, as you can see, I'm in a different location. I literally just kind of turned around from where I normally film, but I sprained my ankle, so I need to be able to keep my foot reasonably elevated right now, and so it's just easier for me to sit here on my couch and film than to go to my usual location, which is just sitting over there on the floor in front of my bookcases. And so, sorry you're not getting my usual bookish background here, you're just getting my couch. This is simply for ease of being able to prop up my ankle. So again, I do not normally cheat on my list. And I had said that I would make it so any animatics that I don't have on my playlist that was made for me, again, of like something like 108 animatics, I will open tentatively for requests to check out others that didn't make the cut. Again, I did not compile this playlist, but I had heard that Neil Illustrator had just dropped their Just a Man. I know that the other songs they've been working on are later. I'm pretty sure I have all the other ones they've done in my playlist. I know they are known for Ruthlessness and Thunderbringer, and I think also God Games. There might be another in there as well. I think they also did Get in the Water. So obviously I'm not near those yet, but since I was literally in the process of editing my reactions to the other 3 Just Demands. I figured I would sneak in some Neil. So, all right, Neil, let me see these designs, because I've heard that Neil takes a different approach from a lot of the other animators in terms of how they design the characters, which I'm curious about. Oh, look at that baby noises. Oh, what an addition. Oh, I like this Odysseus a lot.
I look into your eyes.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm gonna pause here because I realized my captions were on. The sound design that has been added is so nice. What a level of extra thought and care to go in. We've added the baby crying, because that would make sense. Why would Astyanax be calm when he would be hearing all the stuff of the Troy being sacked, his mother has likely by this point had to have been ripped out of his room. That's gonna cause a lot of stress on an infant. And adding the clink of the knife clattering, this is such great attention to detail. And that's going even beyond what I've already seen, and I've been seeing a lot of attention to detail. That is so nice. And also, again, I will say I love this design for Odysseus. He looks more age appropriate, which I like a lot.
And I think back to the son of mine. You're as old as he was when I left for war.
The way that he's moving him around, it's very dad-like behavior. Oh, I see broom helmets.
Is the price I pay.
I like also that at least there was movement down there. I'm gonna back up a second. Wow, that's a dark image when you think about it. They're laughing. I see the little bits of blood and gore. I mean, again, broom helmets, but I have said I was pretty certain I'd see a lot of broom helmets. Again, the sacking would still likely be going on, but that's dark when I'm looking at the expression, like just the dude smiling there. They're laughing, carousing that they've taken this city, which, yeah, they probably would be. Dark as it is, they celebrated the fact that they took Troy. And also, wow, the work on the background here. The background is in perspective. He's coming out on a balcony. This design is likely, now I'm not going to say I'm any sort of master or understanding of architecture. It looks a little too medieval, so a little too late in terms of period accuracy. But again, I said I'm not really going to harp that much on period accuracy. But I'm just marveling that it's in perspective. It's gorgeous. There is amazing attention to detail, and even in texture. I see cracks in the wall, in the bricks. Damn.
Is the price
my perspective on the face.
endless pain. Close your eyes and spare
The noises are gonna kill me.
yourself.
It's such a good detail.
I'm just a man who's trying.
And also the details on the baby, the thing that he's doing, with his hand in his mouth, all this other stuff. It's so nice. I saw a bird. Is that the eagle? Also, hello motion in the cape.
Who's fighting for his life?
Expressions.
Trade the world to see my son and wife.
Neil, do you work in animation? I get the feeling you do.
But when does a comet become
the expression
a meteor?
change.
When does
His
a
eyebrows.
candle become a blaze?
Okay, transition. Movement of cloth can be really tricky. It's also, a lot of people say when you're drawing just static imagery, you're just drawing art. If you can create motion in the clothing, it does a lot to give motion to the image, even if it's just a person standing still. The work that is being done on the cloth movement is bonkers, and it's very much appreciated.
When does a ripple become a tidal wave? When does
So
the
now we're back
reason
among the
become
people,
the
we're not up on the
blame?
wall.
When does a man become a monster?
I kind of like that. The one thing I like about that, of them stopping and taking helmets off. I mean, again, there's a darkness to the fact that they're laughing and having a good time when they're destroying a city. And again, the sacking of Troy was an incredibly violent moment. I mean, the sacking of a city is always gonna be violent, but Troy was, you can imagine 10 years of sieging a city and you finally get in, you are razing it to the ground. It is the full destruction of this kingdom. And the fact that these guys are all You know, they see him, and out of respect, obviously, for him, because he's a Greek king, which, to be fair, a lot of these, if these were not other Greek kings, would be soldiers under his command, taking off the helmets is a sign of respect, but also recognizing what he's about to do. While everybody would have understood this was a necessity, again, in the Greek mythology, the killing of infants is not something, unfortunately, that is that unusual. But in a lot of cases, the infant doesn't actually get killed, which of course comes back with major consequences later, which is why Zeus saying, like, you have to do this. You're gonna have to, because if you don't, there are consequences. Very understandable ones. Understanding that here's an infant, and we're gonna have to basically murder this, but this is a baby that has to be murdered as opposed to maybe being taken into slavery or the like. Nobody's really gonna take joy out of that. It's a bleak and dark necessity. But nobody's taking joy out of it. And I like the mood change. Also, just noting the dude in the background with the, like, textured hair. That's a nice addition. Neil, again, there is such nice work being done in the backgrounds and being done in supporting players. And I am convinced, I know really nothing about these animators. Neil, do you work in animation? Just watching this, and some of the moments where the facial expressions in the face were even more fluidly animated, so there were more frames going on here. The way this is blocked, the way this is done, the attention I'm seeing in certain details, strikes me that you either work in storyboarding or animation. I'm suspecting, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just get an inkling. Not to say that anybody else is, like, of lower quality and that they don't, it's just, like, these are small little choices I'm noticing that make me think Neil works in animation. Granted, I have no idea how old Neil is, or any of these people are, so. Ooh. Oh no, Andromache. Oh, shut the fuck up. First off, Andromache, yeah, screaming, crying. She hates that this has to happen. It does give the feeling that maybe she was taken out of the room already. But the way that Neil framed that, so that you see Andromache and then he's looking at her sideways while saying, forgive me. He could be talking to the infant, but it makes it seem like he's talking to Andromache, which I like so much. Yes, I like that. When we're leaning into the guilt he should be feeling, he's, you know, inevitably going to feel over this moment. Again, this was not a moment to be celebrated. The killing of an infant, even in a, for them at this time, understandable and justifiable moment as this, it's not taken lightly. It's, you know, nobody wants to have to do that, right? We're not all Cronus swallowing our children, right? But then also the bit with the eagle, which is the one bit of color we've had the whole time, the eagle's bright yellowish gold eye, which obviously that's Zeus watching this happen. And the transitions in the motion of the wing to change perspective of Odysseus is now over at the wall. What a great use of motion and moving through the space. There is some the work being done here. Goddamn. Oh, come on, the eagle. Ooh, the brick falling down. Wrapping the face up. No, not the baby's house.
I'm just a man.
Oh, that's dark. Oh, that's so good. Oh. Yo, Neil. And that is insane. The added sound effects do so much here. And just that last shot of the wind blowing, no sound but that wind, and then him sitting next to the horse. Neil. Cooked. Absolutely cooked. So many great choices going on in here. Again, I really like their design for Odysseus. I think he's probably the most age-appropriate looking Odysseus I've seen. I liked the design on all the other characters. They have a very unique style. I mean, all of these artists have had very different styles in how they draw people. But Neil clearly has a style that stands out. In addition to it looks like the brush that they use in making these has kind of a very thick pencil-y quality that I like. I see texture in it, which is something I appreciate. Absolutely insane. Fucking insane. Wow. Wow. This makes me even more excited to see their stuff for, like, the later songs where I know they're in there and what designs they'll have for the gods. Oh, that was good. All right, going into full speed ahead. I have only one full speed ahead animatic, which is sort of surprising, but it is also Wolfie the Witch. So I get to continue on to the next song from them. I'm gonna do that and then probably take a break before I start going into Open Arms and Warrior the Mind. We shall see. But let's do Full Speed Ahead. And I would say Full Speed Ahead is up there with Horse and the Infant for difficulty, and it's for one simple reason: water. Water is a bitch to fucking animate. It's extremely difficult because it's constantly in motion, and even in CGI they will tell you it's extremely difficult to make it look reasonably realistic, to make it look like it belongs, but also you have to have objects moving in water. They have weight, you know, density. You have to try and make it look like they weigh. There's so much shit you have to deal with when it comes to animating water. So kudos to you, Wolfie, for going for it, because goddamn, I don't envy you. I'm also just noting that this is updated audio. So I guess probably these were originally done with the old audio, but Wolfie went and replaced it with the re-recordings for these saga. That's a nice touch. Oh, look at camera moving through space. Moving. Good use of camera. Well done, well done, well done.
600 men, 600 men under my command, with only one goal in mind: make it back alive to our homeland.
The olive bed, I see you. Olive tree bed, sorry.
600 miles of open sea. But the problem's not the distance, it's what lies in between. And to the
Okay, I saw an open mouth with teeth. I did get told that people imagine Charybdis as having teeth. Charybdis doesn't have teeth, it's just a whirlpool, guys. A whirlpool is scary enough. Why are you giving it teeth? Good God. Although it does kind of remind me of like the Sarlacc pit. I'm not mad, that's kind of funny. I saw the snakes, which I'm assuming are supposed to be Scylla, and then the one eye opening, that's the Cyclops. Very well done. I had almost thought Wolfie might do a, you know, the it's what lies in between. Like, you've got it, we're in a reasonably medium shot here, that we would do a real quick pullback, like real fast extreme zoom out to give us a very good wide shot to show all the ships going across the water to get the sense of, oh, it's distance. It's just that, like, shit, we got a lot of water to cross. But that's also an interesting choice. Sorry. I say these things and I'm not critiquing the animator. This is just stuff, you know, again, I studied digital video and cinema. I was media arts and design at university, so the film brain constantly thinking. Holding on this medium shot a lot. I suppose it's hard to try and imagine what else to animate there. I do quite like their Odysseus. Buzz cut. Okay, I noted there was a buzz cut in one of the, I think Horse and the Infant animatics, and I was like, why is there a dude with a buzz cut? That's so odd to see. Was that supposed to be Eurylochus? So I guess Eurylochus is canonically gonna have a buzz cut, or Wolfie decided to give them a buzz cut. Also love Odysseus, short king. Here, short king. Love that. And Eurylochus standing there like this. There's some really nice posturing going on. They're supposed to be like, yes, I'm talking to you officially, and, you know, as respectfully as I can. You are my king, my captain. You are also my brother-in-law. There's some neat stuff going on here. The ships are all awfully close together, though, in the background. That might just be me and my perspective being fucked up. Oh, nice addition.
600 men, 600 reasons to take what we can. So, Captain, what's the plan? Captain, what's the plan? Watch where the birds fly.
There's a bird. I knew they'd give me a bird.
There will hunt for food, my second in command. Now for
So if they're sailing towards what looks like the sun, I would have to assume this is later in the day and they're sailing west, because obviously you don't want to sail east from Troy. There kind of is no sailing east from Troy. Be sailing into land. Yeah, these are nonsensical details, but weird little things that I pick up on. Same with me going, why are they lighting torches in a wooden horse? I'm like, oh, they must be sailing west, because obviously that's the way you would sail. You have to go west and kind of south and around and up, and you sailing back from Troy was pain in the butt. As we know, they get blown off course a lot. Very nice. Oh my god. The glasses. And the hair ribbon. What's with the hair ribbon and the glasses? Such a choice.
Something feels off here. I see fire, but there's no smoke. I say we strike first. We don't have time.
Politis in the background be like, what the fuck? Okay, Politis, don't be so indignant. What he's saying is perfectly reasonable. Again, there is, of course, canonically the attack on Ismaros, and the issue isn't that they sack Ismaros, is that they stay too long, and then the people of Ismaros fight back. And again, it's raiding culture, if you will, in the Bronze Age was not that unusual. There was no sort of dominant central sea power that's like monitoring the Mediterranean to kind of cut down on that kind of culture. And as I think I said in one of my epic videos, one of Odysseus' epithets is in fact Toliportos, which means sacker of cities. And it's not just Troy. I mean, that sort of raiding culture just wasn't that uncommon. So as much as, you know, I know everybody loves Politis and is endeared to Politis, and there's a lot of hate for Epic Eurylochus, which again, Epic Eurylochus, far better than Odyssey Eurylochus. Oh my god, Odyssey Eurylochus is just like, oh my god, yeah, no, yeet him off the wall. Oh my god. But what Eurylochus is suggesting here is perfectly in line with the culture. But I love that Politis is getting so pissed off in the background. Also, Politis seems quite young.
No, Politis, gear up. You and I'll go ahead. You and I'll go ahead. We should try to find a way no one ends up dead. We don't know what's ahead. Give me till sunrise.
Eurylochus has an eyebrow slat. I love it.
Then 600 men can make this whole place burn. Now full speed ahead. Full speed ahead.
The face palm. I'm kind of with you, Eurylochus. Spears! I will nerd over spears at every moment. Oh, there's my wide shot. I would have wanted actually an even more extreme wide shot. Like, I want those boats super small. But that's a nice wide shot. Good way to get around having to... I made a lot of little water. Wolfie, I see you. But also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There they are. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Well done. Sorry, I should let it finish. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to take a pause there because thankfully there are only 2, but there are 2 Open Arms animatics that I have to watch, and as we know, Open Arms is not my favorite song. I'm bracing myself. Some really interesting choices. I really like Wolfie the Witch's design for Odysseus. I think the choice of Eurylochus having a buzz cut is certainly interesting. And again, I did notice that. If this is meant to be the same character, in one of the Horse and the Infant animatics, so just Eurylochus, like, canonically, image-wise, have a buzz cut? Or is that... Or are they, like, 2 different characters? I don't know. Also, the anachronistic glasses. That's just a weird pet peeve of mine. I don't know why. I think it's that I find it so distracting. I don't, and again, don't ask me why, because I don't know. It's just one of those weird little things where I'm like, the glasses are distracting. Also the headband. The headband is a choice. I don't know why it's there. Like, it's almost like there's nothing like esoterically wrong with it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, huh, why that? This is just me going, I wonder why that choice was made. Wow, incredible. I can see why Wolfie gets talked about a lot. Absolutely wonderful stuff. And only halfway through the Troy saga. Incredible shit. So goddamn talented. Again, I am in awe. I'm in awe of the artistic talent of all of it.